This last poem I'm going to do is called Generation Change. And I did it in the character of an angry young person from London who was finding out about the 50 or 60 year presence of Africans and West Indians from Britain. Because a lot of the history of our parents and grandparents is not known to many of the young people. So sometimes when they discover that, it's sometimes a first reaction or first emotional reaction is anger to the experiences once they start uncovering their parents and their grandparents' journey. So it's called Generation Change. Now I can't sing, but there's always a song I kind of like to open up for, so don't laugh, but I'm going to do my best to do justice to the song. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. The young, they become the old, and mystery should unfold, and the old will one day go. Generation change. After generations of slaving, we're now ready and willing to arrive on ships to board the shores of the famed United Kingdom. From kidnapped victims to volunteers to make them an even greater Britain. Different method, same intention. But new formed groups like West Indians for the first time in records were meeting their infamous African cousins who only heard about each other by false information. You see them Africans, well they done stole us as slaves, well those West Indians were all criminals anyway. Only a few knew better, were happy to see each other. Former Marcus Garvey followers and Pan-Africanist soldiers who were joining together to fight white colonizers. While West Indians were sent to do the grimy jobs upon the Windrush, most Africans were students around the time of pre-independence, couldn't wait to board the ships or plane to go back home for the return leg and participate in the experience of total independence until they received that dreaded correspondence. Kofi, I can't believe it. You see, there's been a coup. Nkrumah will no longer be sending for you. So you're going to have to survive and do what you have to. Remember us. Remember me. Remember, I love you. What the hell is Kofi supposed to do? You see, the one thing in life worse than not knowing what to do is to have your whole life purpose taken away from you. I keep telling this generation, we should bathe in the wisdom of our elder men and women, for they've experienced a feeling I've yearned for since the beginning of my conscious education. And that's a complete feeling of total liberation against anyone's direction. But Africans were soon joined by others fleeing their nation, hoping in blind faith for a better existence. So doctors, engineers and civil servants were forced to do jobs below their qualifications. You see, regardless of our cultures, as soon as we arrived, they all despised us, bloody bastards. Couldn't even find us decent houses. Imagine this. Seeing a sign upon a notice, no Irish, blacks or dogs are accepted. And if you are, then you accept the overcrowding. Like ants in boxes or crabs in a barrel. Overcrowded areas from Brixton to Grove. Riots with white folks on Latimer Road. While MPs like Enoch Powell was prophesying that rivers of blood will flow. So blacks were forced to do jobs So blacks were forced to live in areas where white supremacists live for their raging war against black residences, so-called working class brothers. What on earth do we do to you? All we want them to live in existence with you, walk down the streets with you. But our parents went to work among songs of go home you bloody wogs. You ain't welcome here. But we believed in the triumph of the human nature. And soon they'll start seeing us as equal human partners. So you wasted too much time never doing for self. And our youths are growing up needing our specialist help. And that can't be provided by the system or someone else. Meanwhile, Asians came over, kept their cultures and built their own empires. And joined pre-existing black organizations just in case integration was smarter. See, a wise man always has a backup plan. Keep your culture and develop it further. But Africans didn't even talk to each other, much less West Indians. See, Caribbeans didn't even talk to each other, much less Africans. The only thing they had in common was they taught night to their children, teaching them it's better to be British in this climate of racial hatred. Strange fruit growing on trees without roots, filled with irregular content, watching their parents' development in new neglected ghetto environments. You see, right from the beginning, these children were doomed, for society fed them seeds of self-rejection in the womb, and they tasted the flavour of subhuman behaviour, seeing their strong fathers reduced to subhumans. You blacks, you can't do nothing, right? Yes, sir. See, sorry, sir. You see, please don't fire me. I need this job. Zombies and skeletons are their past glories. So the children inherited seeds of self-destruction, the misplaced generation, the missing children of Eden, stuck in all areas of Great Britain, referring to the regions of the lost and found kingdoms, though there was a time some of them were eagerly seeking solutions, believing Boateng, Abbott or Grant couldn't do what was needed, so they formed organisations operating outside the system, appealing to the young ones with a new code of conduct, informing them the government cared nothing for us. They wouldn't even allow us to become acquainted with the best black leaders. See, this was back in my youth, where bow ties and slick suits with plans with black youth would convince us to convert us that God owed us a promise, handing out flyers in the worst neighbourhoods. Brothers, sisters, you ain't been forgotten. Why didn't you come to the meeting on the weekend if you want more information? Strange. You see, nowadays, I don't even see him. You see, it's hard to live righteous in a world that's not for us. So nowadays, it's hard to look inside the eyes of our youths in our areas. Their man says, forget this, because no man can save us. And I'll be damned if I'm punk like my elders, because nowadays, prison or death don't even scare us. And I guarantee you retaliation if there's another Stephen Lawrence, from running from white folks to running after white folks to running with white folks, working class foes to crew fellows. 20 years ago, your boy would have bombed your house full of petrol, but forget it. Because all that stuff is now historic. And this is the present, where so-called urbanites apparently face similar-ish. So blacks, whites and Asians infected with black commercial so-called culture. So now they call it urban. So now they got everything but the burden. Because for most, this life is just too damn grimy. But we cope, because it's the only home most have ever known, so we cope. Afraid to even dream of better. We're now walking streets in Union Jack sweaters. British blacks or black British, without an aim or a purpose or understanding of their cultures. Killer looks inside their iris. Walking road unopposed with a mentality that's murderous, strange. Because half a generation past, my older brother faced opposition when he waved his black flag, but they care nothing for us. Complete areas depleted into ghettos where elder folks would soon let you know it wasn't always like this, you know. You know, before them colours moved in, used to be a picture-perfect environment. No offence, Gov. Before blacks arrive with no finance and looks for home for no assistance and education with no inclusion and qualification without jobs, alienated and areas overpopulated. See, low economics and getting worse from us. In a society that supposedly wants the best from us, while the BNP flourished, Farrakhan was still banished. See, we all alone and there's no man that can save us. Psycho spirits of past warriors who subconsciously dwell within us. So those soldiers we pass every day on road, they know, subconsciously they know they've been through the worst history can throw. See, if you think you're hard enough, then do your best to get us. If not, then leave us to live murderous. A mentality unknown to the generations of old, to short man's eulogy, to Nolan's cold and road, because can't no man save us, because ain't no one ever loved us. So how can you expect to save us? Generations of past Africans causing turmoil inside us, so who knows what the story holds for tomorrow. But for the generation of old, that's gone and passed, from ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. But for the new direction and generation of black Britons, in Almighty God we trust. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. That's the end of the poetry. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Without any further ado, we want to get you started into the film.